guys, what's up? So today we're going to go ahead and go over the Go Giver. So if y'all hadn't heard of it before, I actually heard of it recently through a podcast. I just really enjoyed it and I just thought y'all would enjoy it too. So that's what we're going over. The podcast that I was listening to is the Mommy Millionaire podcast, in case you're interested in looking at that. And then if not, that's fine too. So went ahead and took notes. So let's go over it. Essentially what this book is about is, giving and receiving, by the title of the book, The Go Giver. So pretty much it is not whatever you give, you'll receive, but because you give, you will receive. One of the first things that you learn in here is surrounding yourself with others who are spirited, and you're all going to just climb higher. Also, I rented this book from the library, so I don't have a physical copy, so sorry I can't show y'all, but I'll put a picture up. It's saying basically the people who you surround yourself with is what's going to be lifting you up in life. So that is another premise of this book is, surround yourself with people who are going to go, and you will end up going too, just because of the people you're with. Another thing that I had written down is, so the further you are, the more you're going to share and the more you're going to let others learn for you. If you're in the beginning stages of your journey and everything, you're gonna be like, okay, let's learn from others who have more experience. And whenever you become that more experienced person, you let other people follow you and to let them go ahead and learn from you. You know the ropes, you know the course. And so it's not your responsibility necessarily, but it is part of your duty just as a person to go ahead and help out other people. That's another thing that's in here as well too, is, it's like whenever you learn more, you put it out there, you give, and you let, education and everything flow. All right, another thing is focusing solely on making money won't put you ahead, giving will. And you need to give before you can receive, and you won't get what you want, but you get what you expect. Let's say you walk into a situation and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm probably not going to sell $1 million, and I'm probably not going to win that trip. But, I'll probably end up selling a third of that, and then just be stuck with the life that I have. And then that's exactly what you get. So you don't get what you want, but you get what you expect, because, it's like, do you want to go home a loser? No. Do you expect it? Yes. Then that's what's going to happen. Or the exact opposite. You go in for a $100,000 deal and you end up walking out with $1 million. You're like, wow, that went way better than, what we had originally planned, but this is exactly what I wanted. So I'm so glad that I got it, So it's pretty much you just put out there what you want and you're going to get that back to you. Now we get into the 5 laws of stratospheric success. What that is basically, so in the book, it's the guy talking about how he is a salesman and he needs to go ahead and close a big account. So they call it the BK, the Big Kahuna account. He just has no idea how he's going to do it. So he's like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and reach to the top chairman and we're going to go ahead and see what we can do. See what we can go ahead and close. And so he ends up going to them and they're like, oh, so you're here to learn. And he's like, yeah. They went ahead and basically said, okay, well, we'll meet at this time, blah, blah, blah. And so he ends up learning, and what he learns are the 5 laws of stratospheric success. It's over a day, over a week or whatever, and I think that these are all very useful tools, so I will now be sharing them with y'all. So the first one is going to be the law of value. And so what it means is basically your true worth will always be determined by how much you give in value rather than what you take in payments. That one is just I think so important for life in general. Whatever you give out, money does not matter in these situations because you're going to get way more than what you expected if you just follow these laws. If you just you do right, basically. If you just do right and you give and you don't really expect anything back, you're just doing it because you're hopeful. You're just doing it because that's something that you enjoy doing. And it's not saying your true value, it's saying your true worth. Because you can give somebody a gold necklace and they'll be like, oh, so what's the value on this? And you'll be like, oh, it's $700. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, here's $700. And then you give it to your wife and she finds so much worth in it, more than a $700 value, because that's, it's the fact that you took time to go find something. It's the fact that you wrapped it up real nice and that she gets to wear it every day and it goes with all her outfits. It's way more than $700. So there's a difference between value and worth. And so once you show more of what your worth is, the value, people will go ahead and pay. Also, another thing is people ask, is this going to make money first? But what you really need to go ahead and do and ask first is this something that's going to bring value? So if it's something that's going to bring value, if it's something that's going to enrich people's lives, then that's how you can make your decisions. I think it was Jeff Bezos who had said, I invest in things that I think will make a difference in people's lives. And once you use that logic and once you follow that, that's when you're going to notice a big difference in your investments and your monetary values and different things like that, because what you're investing in is not necessarily things that are going to make money, but things that people are going to enjoy and it's going to enrich their lives. You end up benefiting from it anyway because it's helping out people. So that's another thing. Now we're moving on. So the second law is going to be law of communication. So with that one, your income is going to be determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. In other words, your compensation is in direct proportions to how many lives you touch. And so that is the second law. It's compensation. It is you do one thing, you get another thing for it. It doesn't have to necessarily be monetary. It doesn't have to necessarily be money. It is what you give out, you're going to receive an equal value. But none of that is really a question of value necessarily, but it's a question of impact. Does it have a big impact on people? Is it something that's going to help people in the future, which again goes into the law of value. I just think that's just something that's super important, is you need to give, because you can't, we'll get into that later actually. Two things in that is going to be, A, you get to determine your level of compensation with that, because you are your salesman, you are your own person pretty much. So your law of compensation is you get to determine how much people pay you. You get to write down that price on the check and say, all right, now sign here. And the second thing is going to be B, no limits on what you can earn, because you can always find more people to serve. So one thing they said is everybody can be great because anyone can serve. Oh wait, no, they had said somebody else said that. Martin Luther King, yeah. And I think that's something that is super important, because that's not something that we see enough of, is people serving, is people giving, because more people want to go ahead and, okay, what's gonna earn me money? Let's go ahead and go for that. And it's not necessarily the biggest and the best impact that we can make. Everyone can serve, and that's going to bring value to not only you, but also to the people around you as well too. So that's something that I think is super, super important, is having a servant's heart. I think they talk about in the Bible as well too, but you can't always be expecting to receive everything all the time. You have to go ahead and give, and you have to go ahead and let people just enjoy you and everything as well. So there's that. Another thing that they had said in here that I was like, oh yes, I definitely agree with that, is going to be being broke and being rich are just decisions. And it takes about as much effort for both, and I know people do not always agree with that. If y'all had seen, I think it was a vlog from like June or something like that. It wasn't necessarily posted in June because I'm a bit far behind on those. It's talking about me just, like, wow, I had my heart broken, and I can do two things about that. I can cry and then be the same person that I was before, or I can level myself up. It's going to take just as much effort to do both of those things. And I decided to go ahead and level myself up. So now I have my own apartment. My dog lives with me. I have a boyfriend, which is really nice. I read a lot of books and stuff still, which is awesome. It would have taken just as much effort for me to go ahead and be sad. And it would have taken just as much effort for me to go ahead and get my license in different things, go ahead and find a better job, to go ahead and network, to go ahead and drive a long time. I did not enjoy that. I'm actually a lot closer to home now. But to go ahead and get these small things together so I can go ahead and have the bigger picture, which I now have, which is absolutely amazing. So I can go ahead and make a whole thing about that, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about this book. So it would have taken just as much effort, and it is literally just a decision. I just decided, you know what? I don't want this. I don't want to feel like this. So we're not going to feel like this anymore. And now I don't. And it's actually super great. And I absolutely love it. Also, he was saying that there are 3 universal reasons to work. The first one is to go ahead and survive, which meets your most basic needs. The second one is to go ahead and save, which is to go ahead and meet your basic needs, and then some, so you have a little nice living. And then the other one is to go ahead and serve, which not a lot of people actually meet. So serving would go ahead and be, I do donations, or, to help out others with charity and different things like that as well too. So those are different things that people do with their money, and I think is really great and noble. Those are the 3 universal reasons that people actually work. So on to the third law. The third law is going to be the law of influence. The law of influence is that your influence is determined by how abundantly you put others' interests first. Because if you put others' interests first, you'll eventually start to see your own interests come into play as well too. And not because you put your interests first, but because other people see that you're putting an effort into them, so they're going to put an effort back into you. And you don't do this with the intention of somebody putting effort back into you. It's just something that kind of happens. One thing that he was saying is do not keep score. There is no win-win. So it's like, oh, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and scratch your back because, it looks like you need like a nice little back scratch. So you go ahead and do that just because you want to, just because it's something that you feel like doing. It's just kind. And you don't do it with the intention of, okay, well, all right, now my turn. Yeah, cool. You just do it just because you want to. And eventually people will be like, oh, hey, like I remember you did this for me, so let me go ahead and do this for you. But you don't do it with that intention of somebody serving you back. You just do it just because you are giving. Just because this book is called The Go Giver, and you go and you give and you'll eventually start to receive. The last thing on this part is that giving is what attracts others. So, it's regardless of if you want to attract people, if you want to not. If you don't want to attract people, don't give. Just, expect to receive with doing nothing in return or nothing to start. But giving is what's going to attract others back to you. The fourth law of stratospheric success is going to be the law of authenticity. This one was a shorter chapter, so I didn't take as many notes. But I feel like that one's just very straightforward. First thing that you need is skills as a people person. So if you're not a people person, learn how to be, I guess. I don't know. I could probably read and then make a video on that, because for me, that's something that comes naturally, is to, connect with people, to network and to market and different things like that. So that's something that comes naturally to me. It may not come naturally to a lot of people. That's totally fine. But that is one of the things of the law of authenticity, is to be authentically yourself, to connect with others, and others will connect back with you. And then the other thing that I wrote down is the most valuable gift that you have to offer is yourself, which is true in absolutely every single situation. The most that you can give is all that you have. And that's you. That's you as a person. That's you. But then the fifth and final law of stratospheric success is going to be the law of receptivity. So this is what I said. We're going to go ahead and get back to it. This is it right now. That you have to choose to receive, and if you refuse, you go ahead and you shut down the gifts and everything. You block off your giving and your receiving and your interactions with people like that. And soon enough, you're going to notice everything just depleting around you. And that's because you're not necessarily that you aren't giving, but you aren't allowing things to come back into your life. You just stop the flow of others to you. He was saying most good people don't think about receiving. And if you think about receiving, it doesn't mean that you aren't good. It's just, that you're doing things with more of a selfish intent, so you probably aren't going to be receiving as much. And don't give everything so that you can think, I'm going to get absolutely everything tenfold in return, because that's maybe not always necessarily the way to look at it. And that's maybe not necessarily what's always going to happen. So you want to just go ahead and give, and you will end up receiving in return. Oh, another thing they said is every giving can only happen because of receiving. So we'll take my situation back. It was probably about a year ago. And in my situation where I had two of my absolute best friends leave me, I didn't necessarily see that as like, oh wow, this is gonna be so great. I saw it as like, oh wow, this is absolutely devastating and I don't know what to do with this. And then I figured out, you know what, this is more of a gift to me to push myself. This is a gift to go ahead and go further in life, which is exactly what I ended up doing. If I didn't allow myself to receive that gift, if I just was like, you know what, I don't want to receive that gift. I don't want to look at the gift. I would not have been here. I would not have been here at all. So I need to open up myself to receive things, and I did. And I need to go ahead and give as well too. So give in friendship, give in love and kindness and education and different things like that. So the more that you give, the more you're going to see things starting to come back to you and receiving things in your life. So those are all the 5 laws of stratospheric success. And so the way that the book ends is, I'm just gonna spoil it a little for y'all, is he connects everybody that he knows that he has gone through this journey with and conglomerates them into one business, which I think is awesome, which I would love to do with my friends as well too, is just to go ahead and have them push forward. And it's just like, wow, this is happening. This is great. So he combines them all together and ends up, like giving all of them these opportunities, and then in turn receiving monetary value a lot because he's creating businesses. So that's how it ends, and those are the 5 stratospheric laws of success. Those are the 5 stratospheric laws of success. And my name is Alyssa Gonzalez. If y'all have any questions over anything I went over today, go ahead and leave them in comments below. If y'all don't have any questions, that's great too. That means, I did everything good. And let me know what book y'all want to go ahead and see me read next. So I did just finish up this one, but I am always looking for more books to read. I clearly have plenty of books here as well. I haven't gotten through every single book. I have more there and in a lot of places around here. But I'll go ahead and see y'all later. I'm thinking about doing like one book a month at this point, which I know is a lot less than, the previous year. But I feel like I'm doing also a lot of different things as well too. So just let me know what y'all like and what y'all don't like, and we'll go ahead and model the channel around that. And I will talk to y'all later, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a blessed day. Bye.